Every single person you see here is a sucker. Everyone buried here is a loser because they were duped into laying down their lives for other people. If me saying that makes you feel angry with me, I want you to hold on to that anger. I want you to embrace it. Really feel it. Really hold on to it. Now I want you to keep feeling it when I tell you that those are not my words. That is not my opinion. That is the expressed opinion of Donald Trump, a man who is running for president of the United States in an election that is just under a week away. If you're a voter who served, or knows someone who served, or simply has respect for the military in general, then this video is for you. Because one of the candidates for president has demonstrated a complete and utter lack of respect for the military and all service members. If you're a veteran, Donald Trump thinks you're a sucker and a loser. And I've got the receipts to prove it. And that latter group, that of veterans, includes me. I live in America and I am a veteran. I served in the Army National Guard for 15 years. I was an infantryman. That includes 2 tours to Iraq. So the things that Donald Trump has said about the military are personal to me. It's insulting to me and to some of my closest friends. So let's get into those receipts. The sources for everything will be in the video description. Traumatic brain injuries, or TBIs, are a common injury suffered by those in the service. For context, a concussion is a mild form of TBI. It's often the result of being nearby an explosion, as the pressure wave caused by the blast causes injury to the brain. But it can also be the result of a sudden impact, like an explosion throws you against a wall or something. You have a blow to the head, anything like that. TBIs are very serious, and in some cases can fundamentally alter someone's life. In 2020, troops in Al-Assad, Iraq, that's a base in Iraq, were attacked by rockets fired by Iran. The rockets didn't hit the base itself, but they landed close enough that many service members there suffered TBIs. Some of them were severe enough to warrant a Purple Heart. That's the medal you get when you are wounded in service due to actions from the enemy. So that's what happened, and here's what Donald Trump has to say about it.
Do you believe that you should have been tougher on Iran after they had launched ballistic missiles in 2020 on U.S. forces in Iraq, leaving more than 100 U.S. soldiers injured?
So, first of all, injured. What does injured mean? Injured means you mean because they had a headache, because the bombs never hit the fort. So just so you understand, there was nobody ever tougher in Iraq. None of those very accurate missiles hit our fort. They all hit outside. And there was nobody hurt other than the sound. It was loud. And some people said that hurt, and I accept that.
A headache. That's what a TBI is to Donald Trump. This is him minimizing the pain and suffering of troops that they suffered under his watch. He's essentially mocking them for their injuries. He's in effect calling these wounded soldiers weak for being injured in attacks. And it's all just to downplay it so that he looks better. Of course, it probably shouldn't come as any surprise to people that he is willing to dismiss or belittle soldiers in order to make himself look better, because he's done it for years. On more than one occasion, Trump complained about wounded soldiers being present at ceremonies and parades that he was present at. For example, after a performance by one Captain Avila, who is a 5-tour combat veteran, he lost his leg in Afghanistan and he has a host of other injuries. He sang a song in a ceremony, and Trump complained afterwards in earshot of several witnesses that, quote, "Why do you bring people like that here? No one wants to see that, the wounded." This isn't an isolated incident either. In 2017, he was inspired by a Bastille Day parade. And of course, when you're inspired by a parade, what do you want to do? Well, you want a bigger, better parade if you're Donald Trump. And he again disparaged wounded soldiers. This time I'm going to quote from the New York Mag article because it's just unbelievable. Look, this is a quote from Trump. "Look, I don't want any wounded guys in the parade," Trump said. "This doesn't look good for me." He explained with distaste that at the Bastille Day parade, there had been several formations of injured veterans, including wheelchair-bound soldiers who had lost limbs in battle. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Those are heroes," he told Trump. "In our society, there's only one group of people who are more heroic than they are, and they're buried at Arlington." "I don't want them," Trump repeated. "It doesn't look good for me." It doesn't look good for me. That's what Donald Trump thinks of people who get injured in service to their country. But it doesn't stop with disparaging living soldiers. He mocks the dead ones too. In November of 2018, Trump was on a visit to France to commemorate the 100th anniversary of World War I ending. Trump was supposed to visit a nearby cemetery, which is the resting place of over 1,800 Marines who died in that war, but Trump refused. He described those buried there as suckers and losers, and why would he want to visit a bunch of suckers? Now, you might dismiss that as a rumor if it weren't completely within his established character. For example, in October of 2017, 1 year prior to that previous incident, U.S. Army Sergeant LaDavid Johnson died in Niger. His widow, Maisha Johnson, was grieving, just found out that her husband had died, and she was with U.S. Representative Frederica Wilson. They were both in the car together, grieving this person's husband who had died, and the president called her, the commander-in-chief, which is a good thing to do, usually. But the president who called this woman, he initiated this contact. He struggled to remember the soldier's name and told the widow, who again had just learned her husband died, that, quote, well, I guess he knew what he was getting into. He told the grieving widow of a fallen soldier that he knew what he was getting into, directly insulting her husband's memory. Beyond just a lack of respect, this shows a complete lack of even basic human empathy. So it should probably come as no surprise what his response was when he saw evidence of self-sacrifice in Arlington. In that same year, 2017, he was there for the Memorial Day ceremony. He looked out at the graves. If you've ever been to Arlington, it's overwhelming. Just rank upon rank upon rank of identical graves stretching off to the horizon. Donald Trump looked at all those graves, and he was confused. He turned to, again, his chief of staff, John Kelly, and said, I don't get it. What was in it for them? He literally cannot even comprehend the concept of self-sacrifice. He cannot comprehend service, the idea of laying down one's life for one's fellow soldiers. These are things that are utterly foreign to Donald Trump. He cannot wrap his mind around their very existence. Over and over and over again, Donald Trump has shown that he is utterly unfit for the position of commander-in-chief. He does not respect those in uniform. He is disgusted by the heroes who are wounded in defense of their nation. He thinks that those who die in combat are suckers and losers because they were duped into it, because he can't imagine any reason why someone would do that. He is literally unable to grasp the concepts of bravery, honor, and self-sacrifice that are core to the identity of a soldier. Is this the person that should be in charge of our soldiers' lives? Can anyone think of someone less qualified to be commander-in-chief than this man? Does anyone believe that this person will respect the courage and sacrifice of those he's supposed to command? Now, there are many people who, upon learning of my service to our country, they want to thank me. And I'm never quite sure how to respond. I didn't serve for thanks. I served because I felt I had a duty to give back to my country. I was proud to wear the uniform, and I was willing to put my life in harm's way when my nation asked it of me. These are things that Donald Trump cannot understand. But if you do want to thank me, don't do it with words. Do it with actions. Do it by refusing to support this coward who mocks people that are better than him, that are braver than him, that are more courageous than he is capable of. If you want to respect your veterans, prove it. Don't just say you do it. Prove it with your actions, and do not vote for this man.